Back with another video for you. So if you checked out the last one, I went through the NFC, did the X factors for each of the teams that I feel like will have a big impact on the direction their season goes in. So obviously, if I did the NFC, gotta do the AFC. So that's what's gonna happen on this video. So if you didn't check that one out, go back and look at that one after this one. But basically, what I do is each division, then each team within that division, the biggest X factor that I believe will lead them to either being a playoff team or their season just, I guess, not necessarily being a playoff team, but best and worst case type of thing. Where depending on how that X factor goes, the season can go one way in a positive direction or completely in the negative. So let's have some fun with it. Let's see how it goes. And obviously, at the end of the video, you let me know what you think, whether you agree with me or not. It's all good. Let's interact down in the comment section. So we got to start in the AFC West. Once again, kind of just go clockwise, work our way around. So for the Chiefs, biggest X factor to me would be I might turn into this Chris Jones situation. You know, he is such an integral part of the defense that I believe if he is not on the field for the 8 weeks or so that he said he's willing to hold out, the defense will take a big hit for it. And then because of that, some of these games early on, maybe they're a lot tighter than Chiefs fans would like. Maybe they drop a game or two that you weren't expecting. But I do think for the Chiefs, they need to resolve this Chris Jones situation pretty soon. If you don't know about it, Chris Jones is holding out for more money. He wants to be paid as probably the highest tackle in the game, or highest D lineman, which I believe is Aaron Donald at this point. So he kind of wants Aaron Donald money. The Chiefs are offering a little bit less. We'll see if they can meet in the middle. So for the Raiders, I guess it's going to have to come down to, can Josh McDaniels prove that he is a legitimate head coach? Plenty of questions about him from his time in Denver. You know, he won the playoff game, but some of the decisions about the team definitely blew up in his face. Then the Colts situation where he took the job and backed away from it last minute. Now this Raiders situation and how poorly it looked last year. It's a big year for him and the Raiders. But like I said, this could be McDaniels' last opportunity to show that he could be a head coach and not just be one of those head coaches that it turns out is just a better coordinator than they are as a head coach. The Chargers. So with the Chargers, you're looking at a team that's very talented, but the success in January just hasn't been there. So for me, with the Chargers, you're looking at, can they put it together? Brandon Staley, who's on the hot seat, can he get this team to play to the potential that when you look at them on paper, you see how great this team could be. They just haven't lived up to it yet. So can they finally put it all together this season? The Broncos. How real is the Sean Payton effect? Russell Wilson struggled last season under Nathaniel Hackett. Sean Payton's had great success, you know, in New Orleans and whatever. So Sean Payton's coming in with the task of fixing the offense, which doesn't just include Russell Wilson, but the wide receivers. Talented group, have issues staying healthy. You know, running backs, decent. So can they put last season behind them with Sean Payton coming in? Can it look kind of like the Chargers? Can the Broncos play as well as a talent on their team would allow you to think they are? But ultimately, looking at the division, it's Kansas City and the rest of them. Can one of these three teams step up, give Kansas City a challenge in this division? We'll have to wait and see. Let's move on to the South. Texans. Now, look, the Texans had a interesting offseason, bringing in DeMeco Ryans, great hire. Not a lot of expectations from them because they're clearly in a rebuild. As for me with the Texans, CJ Stroud, I guess. Well, actually, their defense could be somewhat decent. Could their defense help with CJ Stroud's development? And could the Texans steal a few games early on to build the confidence of this group? Newly coming together with new leadership and everything. Could they play spoiler at the end of the season? So I think for the Texans, it's all about this new culture that they're trying to build. May not translate to a lot of wins on the field, but I'd like to see some progress from last season to this season. The Colts, it's got to be Anthony Richardson, which you would throw in the Jonathan Taylor drama with that. Anthony Richardson comes in, maybe the most unproven young quarterback who's going to be a starter week one. You would think with a quarterback like that, you would love to have a top-tier running back to pair with him. But like I said, the Jonathan Taylor situation is up in the air right now. Can Richardson come in, prove a lot of doubters wrong early on, put together, because look, the skills are there. He has the good arm. He's a very big guy. He's very mobile. So there could be an opportunity if teams play the Colts and don't understand maybe Richardson's skill set. Maybe he surprised some teams early. I'm definitely in the camp of I need to see it because he wasn't that impressive at Florida, but this is the NFL, different ball game. So for me, it's Anthony Richardson's development and kind of seeing what type of quarterback he's going to be at this next level. Jacksonville. Can they continue what they started last season? They won the division, 9-8 last year, but coming off of the Urban Meyer short-lived run, which seemed to set the team back a little bit. Doug Peterson showed last year that with his personality injected into this team, Jacksonville can be a successful squad. Now, we'll have to see, can they do it back-to-back seasons? Do we see a bump from Trevor Lawrence? The Calvin Ridley addition, I love. So I do think that's going to help Trevor Lawrence as well. I'm assuming Ridley becomes your new one. That pushes Christian Kirk to like a 2, Zay Jones to a 3. So I definitely like the wide receiver group more this year than necessarily last year. We'll see. Can the Jaguars repeat their performance from last year where they won the division, won a playoff game in exciting fashion with their big comeback over the Chargers? Like I said, we'll see if they can do it again now that there's some real expectations down in Jacksonville for them to be a playoff team again. Tennessee. When I look at Tennessee, it's the QB position. They kind of have three guys. You have Tannehill, who a lot of people will say isn't a good starting quarterback. You have Malik Willis, who, based off of where they drafted him and what they saw from him in limited action last season, you'd say he was a bust. It took Will Levis this year, where Levis was seen as a guy who maybe it's kind of like Anthony Richardson, a little unproven, not sure how well he'll actually do on this level. But it seems like Levis is maybe the future. Willis seems like I don't know. I'm not really sure about Malik Willis. He looked much improved this preseason, but once again, that's just the preseason. Tannehill, it seems like this is probably the end of his kind of run in Tennessee. But can Tannehill lead a team where you still got Derrick Henry in the backfield? You're bringing DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason. Got Treylon Burks out wide as well. Some changes to the O-line. Can Tennessee push Jacksonville in this division? If they can, that's going to point directly to Ryan Tannehill having a good season. So yeah, looking at the AFC South, I think it's going to be much like last year, where Jacksonville and Tennessee, two best teams in the division. Houston, Indy, still rebuilding. Don't really know. Not really expecting a lot out of them this year. But down the line, who knows? Let's move on to the North. Some may argue could be the best division in the AFC. We'll see over the course of this season. All right, so let's start with Baltimore. When I look at Baltimore, been a lot of excuses made for them past years. Now that time's kind of over with. Lamar Jackson got his big deal, brought in Odell Beckham. You changed the offensive coordinator because Greg Roman apparently was the issue. Let's see what that looks like on the field. For Lamar Jackson, can he play 13, 14 games this season? Can he be there at the end of the season for a stretch run? They make the playoffs. Will he be there for the playoff game? So Lamar Jackson's durability obviously is going to be the biggest reason for Baltimore either achieving what they're setting out to do and falling flat. And look, Ravens fans will tell you Lamar Jackson's that dude. Got to see it over a 17-game schedule. Not saying he has to play every game, but like I said, can he play 13, 14 games with most of those being the latter half of the season? Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's that team that for the past couple of years is going to get underestimated. But then when you look around, they're going to be there in the playoff hunt at the end of the year. My thing with that's going to be TJ Watt and that defense, well, mainly TJ Watt, because when he's on the field, the defense looks one way. He's off the field, defense looks a little different. Can he put together a defensive player of the year type of performance to go along with Kenny Pickett in his second year developing? Because they got George Pickens, they got Deontay Johnson, like that wide receiver duo. Yeah, Pat Freiermuth at tight end, like him a lot as well. Steelers could be a surprise in this division, for sure. But like I said, it's going to come down to TJ Watt and that defense continuing to be a headache for these other teams. The Bengals. Bengals have a lot of expectations. You know, they made it to the AFC title game last year. Yeah. And lost. They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Can the Bengals get back there? I think there's a good chance. But when I look at Cincinnati, it's going to be about their defense. Offensively, we know what we're going to get. You got Burrow, the three great wide receivers in Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. You have Joe Mixon in the backfield, who restructured his deal to stay with the team. Defensively, can they be good enough? They don't need to be top 5 defensively. Can they be in the 10 to 15 range, which I think would be good enough with the prolific offense that they should have to be once again in the conversation when we get to January, to possibly be there in February for the Super Bowl. But yeah, like I said, the Bengals are definitely one of the favorites to come out of the AFC, which is very loaded. So their road to that point is going to be difficult this year. But I'm not going to bet against Joe Burrow in that offense. Like I said, can the defense just be good enough to help, in key situations, get opposing offenses off the field so that offense can get right back on there, continue momentum and all that. Finally, we got the Browns in this division. I think this one's simple. You probably know where I'm going with this one. How much of Houston Texans Deshaun Watson do we get this year? Last year, he came back after missing 11 games from suspension, plus missing the year before. Basically, like 2 years of not playing quarterback. He looked rusty. Full off-season workouts and everything like that, he should be better conditionally. Now it's just going to be, do we get Houston Texans, which was a guy who could scramble, make plays with his legs, had a really great arm, put up big numbers on Texans teams that weren't even that good, but Deshaun Watson still found a way to make plays. He can do that in Cleveland, where you have Nick Chubb, one of the top running backs in the league. I think kind of an underrated skill position group with Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku. Cleveland could make some noise not only in the North, but in the AFC. The talent is there. I'm telling you. You probably heard me a few times. I'm high on what Cleveland potentially could be this year. But a lot of that does hinge upon Deshaun Watson returning to somewhat of his Houston Texans form. Can it be 80, 85%? I think Cleveland will be set. But it's definitely going to be a very competitive division. Even if the Steelers were to come in last in division, they're probably like a 9-win team. It's not bad. This is a division where it could be you win it with 11, second and third could be 10-9 wins. And like I said, the Steelers 9 if they come in last. Very tightly contested. So these divisional games will definitely have a lot of meaning as we get towards the end of this season. Now the final division, the East, which is obviously one I'm paying a lot of attention to as a Patriots fan. So let's go with Buffalo. Buffalo, it seems like they're going to be running somewhat of a new offensive set where they drafted Dalton Kincaid high, so you start to see him on the field. You still have Dawson Knox, who they've used a lot. So they go 2 tight end personnel. You got Diggs, and I guess Gabe Davis would be your top duo at the wide receiver position. So that means Josh Allen's going to do it a little bit differently, but I would like to see them establish somebody in the running game. I think asking Josh Allen to make the plays in the passing game and be your top rusher, yes, he's a big guy, but eventually all those hits will kind of catch up with him. So if they can somehow instill, whether it's James Cook, Damian Harris, somebody that week in and week out, Josh Allen can literally turn around, hand it off to, like I said, between the two of them 20 times, get some production, I think Buffalo will be fine. I do think for Buffalo, they're going to need a good start to the season. The Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, whatever that was this offseason, winning cures all, is what they like to say in sports. That could ring true with this Buffalo team. If it starts off slow, There could be a lot of infighting. Maybe the Diggs Allen thing brings itself up again, which would then look bad for Sean McDermott, where some people think McDermott could be on the hot seat based on how this season goes in Buffalo. So we'll see. Can they establish a run game? It's something I've been wondering with Buffalo for years now. See what they do this year. The Jets. The Jets come in with a lot of expectations because they brought in Aaron Rodgers. And yes, Aaron Rodgers is an upgrade over Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White, whoever you want to throw into that equation. But the expectations, might be a little bit of overhyped right now. Because one, this division is going to be tough. Two, it's a lot to put on Aaron Rodgers with all those seasons in Green Bay when they're winning divisions, but couldn't make Super Bowls, couldn't win big playoff games. To think that he's all of a sudden going to do it in New York, I get it. New York's defense is probably an upgrade over Green Bay. The skill position players in New York, sure, is upgrade over Green Bay. But for me, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers, who had a down year last season. Whatever you want to blame that on, the stats tell you he had a down year. He's pushing 40. Are people kind of going out of their way to make it seem like Rodgers is just going to, jump into the fountain of youth and turn back the clock? We'll see. The offensive line has some questions on it. For an older quarterback, not necessarily what you want to see. But can Aaron Rodgers navigate that and have the Jets playing high-level football? We'll see. The Dolphins. I think it's very simple. If Tua's on the field, the Dolphins look like a really good team. Offense is clicking. They brought in Vic Fangio for the defense, so I think the defense will be good. I said this before again, as a Patriots fan, in this division, the Dolphins scare me the most. Because I've seen Tua with Waddle and Hill making plays. And like I said, Fangio, I think with that defense, we'll have a lot of fun. There's a lot of pieces over there, even though Jalen Ramsey got hurt, but he should be back at some point in the season. I think the Dolphins could be the most talented team on paper in the division. But can they keep Tua upright? He had a very scary bunch of games last season. Numerous concussions. Will we see some ill effects of that in his game this year? Will he be more jittery in the pocket? Will he see ghosts, as they say, where if a little bit of pressure feels like it's getting to him, will he kind of check out of the play and give up? We'll have to see. But if they can keep Tua healthy, kind of like a Lamar situation, if Tua plays like 14 games this year, I think the Dolphins could be a very dangerous team. Finally, get to my Patriots. And for me, it's the offensive line. There's a lot of questions all offseason about them. Those questions are going to continue into the season. Who's going to be the starting group? I think the interior of the offensive line, we know. Was it Strange, Andrews, and Onwenu? The tackle positions, I don't know. Trent Brown's supposed to factor into one of those, but the questions about him are always with his conditioning as well as his kind of desire to play. And then the other tackle position, they made a couple of trades this past week in bringing in a couple of young tackles to address that. We'll see between the two of them, can one of them step up and take that other tackle position? Because I feel like if the line is good, the Patriots will obviously be better offensively. That's to also go along with the addition of Bill O'Brien over Matt Patricia. So I'm expecting better from the offense. But we know if the O-line can't get it right, there's only so much an offense can do. Because that's going to affect running backs with Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott. That's going to affect the passing game because if Mac Jones drops back and doesn't have the time to find receivers, you're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs if this offensive line can't get it together. But yes, looking at the AFC East once again, I think the Dolphins are the most dangerous team, but the Bills and Jets will definitely be worthy competitors. And I do think the Patriots are being underestimated. Vegas has them at 7 wins as an over-under. I think they do better than that. And if you heard me on Sports Empire Network, I do think the Patriots can make the playoffs this year. Might be a hot take. We'll see come the end of the season. Because as you know, with it being my team, I will definitely be talking about them each week. You can believe that. And the start of their season is going to be very important to how the rest of the year goes. The first 6 games are tough. If they can get out of that 3-3, I think we're in business. But if they got 1-5 or something, then yeah, it could get ugly in New England this year. But like I said, I see them as a playoff team. Call me a homer, call me whatever. I do think that's what's going to happen. So like I said at the beginning of the episode, let me know what you think about the 4 divisions I went through and whether or not you agree with me. I had a lot of fun doing these 2 videos. So now that that's out of the way, next video comes out Wednesday. It will be my playoff predictions. I'll give you my Super Bowl matchup. Talk about Lions versus Chiefs, which is Thursday night, the opening of the NFL season. I cannot wait. So I'll give you my pick for that game. We will have a graphic ready to go to keep up with my picks over the season. I pick against the spread. So like I said, the graphic will have it all ready for you. So I have that good to go for Wednesday. But yeah, this is like a kid Christmas Eve waiting for Christmas morning. Start of the NFL season is one of the best times for me because I just love watching NFL football. So let me know what you think. Also in the comment section, you can let me know who your team is. You could drop your Super Bowl prediction as well if you want to. I'm here for it. But really appreciate you clicking on this video. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And yeah, so be safe out there. God bless. And I'll catch you in the next video. All right, I'm out. Enjoy the rest of your day.